the Hamden Chamber of Commerce this month, brought to you by the Hearing Balance and Speech Center of Hamden. You can visit hearingbalance.com to learn more. Dr. Natan Bauman is back with us, and we were talking before the break, too, about several maladies associated with hearing. One of the interesting studies that has just come out is a real defined link, evidently, between hearing loss and dementia.
That is so true. Recently, there was a very large study that was conducted by Johns Hopkins University, where they documented something that we kind of had this feeling for a long time. I had a personal experience with somebody about that, but they documented the fact that there is a significant link between dementia and hearing loss. Okay. And it would appear to be relatively simple if you think about it, from a logical point of view, that if you don't hear something very well, your ability to remember what you heard is obviously diminished, and because of that, there will be no way to put that information into your memory storage for a recall later. So that if you don't hear something well, if you don't see something well, then you cannot really store that information properly. And if you cannot store that information properly, there is no recall of that information. And this is how there is a link between dementia and hearing loss. There's some cognitive changes also in the brain, for people who have problems with hearing, which is also a very significant problem that should be really taken seriously. It's not just that inconvenience of not hearing well, that you have to turn the television up, you don't hear your spouse, you don't hear your children, but it goes beyond that. Okay, what actually happens between the ears, it's more significant than actually what happens in the ears.
Remarkable. When I'm just thinking about, I'm talking about a public figure like former President Ronald Reagan, who had hearing loss, who wore hearing aids, famously would cup his ear because he struggled to hear Sam Donaldson, the roar of the chopper, but he struggled with his hearing, and people who were around him said that you would talk with him, and he could behind him, and he wasn't hearing you very well, and of course, he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. So I wonder, and we don't want to diagnose Reagan, particularly President Reagan,
right,
but there seems to be, as you say, some correlation, and there seems to be something of concern related to that.
There's no doubt about it. If we deprive our senses, such as hearing, of not being able to stimulate the brain, then the brain changes, it degenerates. It's sort of like a very simple, if you don't use a certain muscle, the muscle will degenerate. So if you don't use that muscle, in the brain, sort of, the muscle in the brain, the neurons in the brain that are responsible for our hearing or processing the hearing information, then they're going to degenerate.
Someone told me once, and maybe you could comment, Doc, about this, that as a bird watcher said that one of the great ways that they exercise their brain is to do birding by ear, because it forces them to go into the woods or by field and concentrate and listen carefully for that bird call.
That's true. People sometimes don't make a distinction between hearing and listening. Hearing is a very kind of a physical aspect of intaking that information, but listening, it's a skill. It's something that helps us to process the information, that involves the brain, and yes, it's true that you can exercise that. We can get better at that if we exercise. But if you don't hear very well, you're not giving yourself a good chance to listen well.
Now, you offer free hearing screenings. I mean, people come in, and you've had someone literally walk in.
Yes.
Into your office, right?
Yes, that is true. And in the celebration of our 25 years of being in practice, we are offering actually all year round free hearing screening this year.
Wow, that's great. So in a hearing test, the screening of the test, you're really determining if somebody may have a low-grade issue or they may be perfectly fine.
That's true. It's pretty, everybody should have a hearing test at a certain point in our life. When we are starting to be in our 50s, there are some changes in the hearing. It's a very interesting statistic. When we are in our 60s, every third person has enough hearing loss to warrant wearing hearing aids. When we are in the 70s, it's every other person. And when we are in 80s, everybody has enough hearing loss. And that's part of our life. As we use the system more and more, it kind of degenerates. It's sort of like walking on grass. The more you walk on it, those little, the grass kind of fades away. And that's what happens in our inner ear with little hair receptors there. And they kind of diminish, degenerate with time and aging. So something to look forward to.
Wow, and also coming up June 5th, you do have a special event. The seminar will be at the Clarion right here. You can reserve a space at 203-287-9915. You'll be there with your seminar that day.
That is correct. You know, we've have been doing those seminars. A very interesting topic around the seminars. It's just to help people to hear better, whether they have hearing aids or no hearing aids. There are certain skills that one can learn, okay, to do better, regardless whether they have a hearing aid or not.
Okay, great news. Coming up June 5th, again, we'll remind everybody, and again, go to the website, please, learn more about the Hearing, Balance, and Speech Center right here in Hamden. Healthy hearing, obviously, related to a lot of areas of your life. Hearing, Balance, and Speech Center. The website is hearingbalance.com. They're on Dixwell Avenue. That's 2661 Dixwell Avenue right here in Hamden. They sponsored this month right here of the Hamden Chamber of Commerce and Friday Marketplace. Dr. Natan Baldwin, Doc, it's always great to see you. Thanks for coming back.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will see you again. And, well, that's it. And thank you again. And today, I guess I